you back. February 13th, 2025. I have just won the Squawker Southwest Gong Show. And I had just... Thank you, I wasn't expecting a laugh, I was expecting a, yeah, okay. The funny man won a funny thing. I had just gotten the cash in hand, 200 cash prize, I was getting my trophy, but as I stood there in awe in a packed theatre full of 60 people, I was going, oh my god, I won. I never win anything. It's fine. Handle it, Daniel. Handle it, Daniel. You're not going to freak out! And instead, I looked over at Joe Capper, who was the MC, and I went, no, Joe, you're lying to me. You're fucking lying to me. Stop lying to me. I had to have 6 people tell me I won this competition. This competition with no other competitions in the Southwest currently happening. So not to toot my own horn, it may be technically the best comedian in the Southwest. Thank you! Hey! And eventually, the buzz, the adrenaline had to go down. I was like, oh my god, I won. I was like, my career can come through. I can start my own special. This is the fastest erection I've ever had. And I'm probably going to need therapy. Where am I going to get the money for therapy? I'm holding it! Way! So, this special is autobiographical, so we're going to go from piece to piece. So, chapter 1, birth canal. Oh, if you want to hitch yourself to this caboose, you're in for a rough ride! August 8th, 1995, I was born in Hammersmith, London. I wasn't named till August 12th, 1995. My parents wanted to call me various different names. They wanted to call me Alex, they wanted to call me Caius, they wanted to call me Liam. They also wanted to call me a Norwegian name, but you know it's bad when the hospital staff have to intervene and be like, don't call the child odd. And what's even worse than like getting a name wrong is that when someone keeps calling you the wrong name for years, and you have to go, Dad, Gabriel's the name of your other son. You know, the fucking 6-year-old, you know? Which is not great for the self-esteem. Although the last time I saw them, I dropped them off at the train station. It was the Six Nations, and a train from Cardiff pulled over, and there was all these rowdy rugby fans. They were chanting the Welsh language, which sounds like they're eating sour grapes. But and they were like, oh, we're chanting, and my dad just looked at them and it's just like, what a bunch of fucking brain-dead cretins, right? Right, Daniel? Daniel, I'm with the fans now, having a whale of a time! And my dad's just like, fuck's sake, thank God I've got a spare, looking at my little brother. And I love the kid, and I've seen him like from, you know, inception to what he is now. And he's a fucking arsehole, because I've never met a child whose favourite YouTube video is, what was it again? It's a train crash compilation, 1 hour. And I said to my dad, that is how you raise a serial killer. This guy's going to be called the Derailer in 15 years. And that's a Netflix docu-series waiting to happen. And I'm going to be a talking head in that Netflix docu-series being like, I told you fuckers, I absolutely told you. Now where's my money? And it wasn't like my childhood was any better, to be honest. Like, I grew up traveling with my dad, and I got to experience his road rage quite frequent. So he'd have me in the car, and he'd be like, fuck you, I will fucking murder you, while strapping me to my booster seat. But, and it's not like my mother was any better. Like, she had really bad road rage that really impacted me. She'd have friends over, and I'd be playing in the corner of a toy steering wheel. And, you know, as you do, you jump up and go, look everyone, I'm driving like mummy, beep, beep. You indicate, you fucking wanker. She was aghast and mortified, and I've never seen her embarrassed that much since. Because this was last week. And, you know, and she really did, like, she did really, like, try and all that, but, like, I wasn't allowed a pet growing up. Because my mother was allergic to unconditional love. But I grew up with this fascination with animals and nature, and holy fuck, nature will fuck you up. It will fuck you up, piece you up again, and then fuck you up again. It doesn't care. I got attacked by a swan once. And there was this whole thing in this complex we were in that was like, oh, because of eggs being poached. No, it saw that I was working class scum and it went after me, you know. Even traveling my dad going through Africa, you would just see picket fences of R.I.P., R.I.P. They're not memorials. That will happen if you go out fuck around with tigers and lions. R.I.P. in this instance stands for ripped into pieces, you know. And so, like, danger became a massive part of my life as well. Like, growing up in the 90s and 2000s, I grew up in the post 9/11 hysteria, and, you know, you're freaking out because you're a kid, you don't know what the fuck's going on, and then your mother has to tell you, look, Daniel, you don't remember being born, so you don't remember dying. Now, good night, son. Sweet dreams. And then you hear the click of the door locking. But your parents can create very awkward moments for you. Has anyone ever watched the sex scene with their parents? Yeah, and the way you have to get past it is less of anything. You have to acknowledge what the fuck's going on, and you just have to push right through. And it's like, guys, why are we watching a wedding video? My parents were married on April Fool's Day. Clearly commitment wasn't their strong suit, so... But like, and then I grew up with like, you know, my parents being divorced for most of my life, and when you have divorced parents, there's a lot of complications, because, you know, like, especially when one remarries and spawns another thing, and then the will comes up, and I remember having this conversation with my mother. She was kind of like, you know, so I was like, oh, can we not have this conversation with you and Dad? It's making me very uncomfortable. And my mum just goes, Daniel, we're fine. Me and your dad are fine. But I will say this. If that motherfucker keels over and doesn't amend the will, leaves everything to that thing he married and that test tube baby you call a little brother, I would personally dig him up and use his skull as a football. But we're fine. And so, like, you know, with this whole thing with my parents, I developed a bit of, like, body dysmorphia. Like, I had this thing where I just didn't feel like I was a prize to look at, so I always got this thing from any caregivers. Which is like, oh, you know, it's only about what matters on the inside. And, you know, it's really weird when you get that when you're about to go for an endoscopy. And then the doctor's sterilizing the room and gloving up, and he's just like, all right, let's see what we can find in there. And you're like, hopefully my inner beauty. And you finish the procedure because you've had a camera down your throat for like 20 minutes, and the doctor's just like, oh, well done, and you're just like, thanks, I've been practicing, but I signed an NDA about my old boys Catholic school, so. So, like, from that, I developed this warped idea of a relationship from my parents. And I do see it with little guys of my generation as well. I had a housemate who was seeing this guy, and then she blocked him on everything. She got her family to block him on everything. She got her fucking dog to block him on everything. And so I'll pass this question to the audience, actually. So what would you say if you were blocked and everything and you needed to contact someone, and what would be the last bastion of hope to contact a person in this modern age?
Newspaper.
Front page blue, man is lonely. Editor's note, what else is fucking new?
Email.
No.
Alien Sky.
Okay. No. 1p bank transfer. I'm not making this up. With the reference, message me. And she immediately sent it back with, take the hint. And what I love, I knew someone who gave out their local dry cleaners phone number when they were like trying to avoid guys getting their numbers. It got so bad that the local dry cleaners ended up like calling them back, being like, bro, we can't get those stains out. We're good, but we're not biohazard good. See, a lot of women hear that and they're just like, oh, thank fuck, only 50 million years, and then the Y chromosome dies out. And it's like, women, if you've ever had sex with a man, 50 million years is being fucking generous. Most guys can barely last 50 nanoseconds, and that's with foreplay. But there's a thing with guys of my generation, and I just feel like they're so very boring. Like, okay, we're getting somewhere here, aren't we? Obviously not me, I'm brilliant. But, like, you know when they just like, you ever meet someone, you just have a conversation, and the conversation just dies, and you kind of feel a bit like anxiety, a bit anxious, you're thinking, oh my god. And then, no, there's nothing, you know, there's just social chemistry. It's mirror neurons, not meaning. You don't talk to everyone, you're not going to be friends with everybody. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with either of you. Just them. And you know, you meet someone and you just go, sorry mate, we have absolutely no social chemistry. You don't say that bit out loud, unless you want to be known for being very blunt. But it's better to say that to someone you've barely met rather than someone you've known and loved all your life. Like your kids. Sorry, kiddo champ, we just don't vibe. Get the fuck out of my house. And then like, but the thing is like, a lot of people are afraid of being very open, so what they do is they get like, you know, they get, oh my god, what do you do? And the only thing they can respond with is, that was so interesting. And like, I've noticed this thing with like guys chatting up people in bar. Like I was in a bar and I overheard two guys, and they were ex-military. And I know that because I said it 50 fucking times. Like, they're like, I'm ex-military. Did I see you? I was ex-military, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, and they're too young to be Iraq war guys of like my generation, right? Because you won't hear Iraq war guys say that kind of thing. You won't hear Vietnam people because they've actually witnessed real fucking atrocities. They've gone through shit. Not to mention, the key word there is ex-military, right? Which means, yeah, right, they've gotten kicked out. They don't fucking mention that, or what they did, or what rank they got to. Is that because it's private? And I'm just like, mate, there are other people who've actually gone through war. Keep it to yourself. You're a piece of trash. Let me put that into military terms. General waste. And a lack of companionship does fucking drive people crazy, though. That's why you have these poor people who are marrying inanimate objects. Like you have the guy who married the Berlin Wall, you have the woman who married the Eiffel Tower, you have the wife of the Prime Minister. And so people turn to self-help books, and like self-help books are really full of like cliches. Like things like, I did it and so can you, and I'm just like, oh, pretty sure I read that in Hitler's memoirs. And it's like, or it's about learning to dance in the rain. I was like, well, Glasgow must be the happiest fucking place in the world. And then there's you only forget the things that you've never done. And that's Hitler again. And then there's this thing with guys with this epidemic of porn addiction that's sweeping the nation. And you'll walk around and you'll see churches with giant signs that read, porn addiction meeting, don't worry, you're not alone, we're beating it together. And it's all set up like Alcoholics Anonymous style meetings with free food and stuff, which no one fucking eats because we all know where those hands have been, you dirty pervy bastard! And a lot of guys who abstain from porn addiction, they're very open about their experiences, you know, they wear it on their sleeve, now their sleeves are clean. So, but you gotta take the good with the bad, and the lesson I've extrapolated from pornography is that no matter how many people you isolate, you can always go back to your stepmother. Not mine, she's a minger. But and so like, a lot of people like turning to religion as religion's making a bit of a comeback, right? So there's a new sect of Catholicism that's very LGBT pro-friendly, like unlike the one I dealt with back in Ireland about maybe 10, 15 years ago, when you would just hear every parish priest saying within earshot, I will not allow homosexuality in this community. It's not for you, it's not for me, it's not for anybody, only me. and Jehovah's Witnesses are back running around knocking on people's doors. They're the only people woo for the Jehovah's Witnesses! Who've seen that, they knocked on your door, you'd be like, fuck off! They're the only people who knock on people's doors nowadays, them on Amazon delivery drivers. But what you don't want is to open the door thinking you're getting your Amazon delivery package and then psych, it's Jehovah's Witnesses, motherfucker! Jehovah's Witnesses are sneaky. You know that you're a master of disguise when you rip off your fake mustache to reveal a bigger, thicker mustache. And religion is a big point of contention from where I'm from. So I'm from Northern Ireland, if I haven't fucking mentioned it already. I'm from a place called Derry. Anyone ever heard of Derry? Yeah! Fantastic, woo! So Derry has two names depending on what religion you are. So it's Derry if you're Catholic, and it's Londonderry if you're wrong. And even people who immigrated to Northern Ireland in the last couple of years, looking for a better life, they come from Africa, Asia, and Luton. They all got caught up in the Catholic-Protestant divide. Like, I saw this Indian dude get approached by one of the locals. It was just like, hey lad, you're a Catholic, you're a Protestant. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm Sikh. Aye. But are you a Catholic Sikh or a Protestant Sikh? And, oh man, y'all in the Southwest have this reputation of oh, you're all inbred, Plymouth and Cornwall gets it. Oh shit, y'all ain't got nothing on us Northern Irish, right? We had to install that software for dating apps that stops you from matching with your relatives. And we needed it as well, because the two most common surnames in Northern Ireland are Doherty and O'Doherty. And the O translates to, oh no, you shagged your sister for the third time today. And much like, did I get an audible oh god? Not my first rodeo. Another thing that us Irish are really well known for is drinking! Hey! You know, a lot of people struggle with alcohol, but I think the only people who should be shit-faced all the time are world leaders and politicians. Imagine that. They'd be on the podium and be like, I don't want to fuck up the economy, I just want a kebab. You know, because everyone's friendlier when they're drunk. You know, they never second-guess a hug. Sober me's stuck in this fucking horrible moment where you don't know if it's a handshake or a hug. So you're in that weird bit where you got the hands ripped around and you're just kind of padding and you're padding it like a disappointed dad, like my dad. But if world leaders were all, we'd have no wars, we'd have no prejudice. Instead of when they push the nuke button and say bombs away, it was because they're pounding Jägermeister. It is concerning. I stayed at this Ibis, and I got these silver Ibis points. And the hotel staff were like, oh, you got silver Ibis points, you got silver Ibis points, you got perks. And I was with a friend of mine, and we got up to this hotel room, and he was like, oh, I wonder what you get with your silver fucking Ibis points. And I'm pretty sure I just get breakfast and dinner and all this. So we opened the door, and in my room, already, was a drunk girl vomiting in the bathroom. And my friend behind me goes, so this is what silver Ibis points gets you. And I was like, that's a weird complaint to go down to the hotel lobby for. Excuse me, there's a drunk girl in my room I didn't order. Because they ordered two. And then the hotel staff were like, oh my god, that shouldn't have happened. That's for gold Ibis points. And then this new thing that I've realized with a lot of places are a drug front operation. And for some reason it's always late night dessert places. There's always one guy who's just annihilated a stack of waffles and ice cream who's just looking to anyone in earshot. Powdered sugar, my arse. Even when I was back in Ireland, I was out partying, I saw a girl just do a fucking line of coke off her phone, which is really fucking off-putting, because Jesus Christ, an iPhone user. So, switch over to the next section here. And, and then obviously everyone's addicted to the internet and all this other stuff, which I grew up in the golden age of the internet. We had real websites. We had a website called Chat Roulette. Does anyone remember that? Hey! You'll fucking love this then. The Chat Roulette was you video called a bunch of random strangers. You kept clicking, you kept clicking, you kept clicking, you kept clicking until you eventually stumbled across and saw one guy twirling his dick around. Oh my god! Dad? Oh, I'm joking. My dad wasn't on Chat Roulette. He burst into my bedroom. But let's slow it down a little bit. The dick pic, right? Yeah. What a weird device. I get it in practicality, it's supposed to be for couples who are apart to maintain intimacy in a long distance relationship. But for most guys in the bar, that's just the opening line, right? And it would have been, it's easier today because we've got smartphones. And now that, before in the past, you had to get it processed and all this other stuff, and you had to send it. And I think of the ways that people sent post before. Some people did it via animals, right? So if I had to, I would train a raven to send me a Because then when the person receives it, they're like, oh my god, what's this? And the raven flying off going, caw, caw, caw! But, and I saw, oh, right, sorry. Chapter 2, fuck clubs. So I saw a lot of people like struggle, especially when I went to art college, where I spent about 3 years doing funky shit with collage printed fabric, which my lecturers hated, but I thought was genius. They just couldn't see it. But and so I kept seeing this girl walk around just barefoot in a tattered jacket just all the time, and I thought, Jesus fucking Christ, I know it's bad around here, but you know, just donate some clothes and all this other stuff. But apparently she was the life drawing model, so that didn't fucking work out. And yeah, so I literally looked at a naked woman and went, she could use some trousers. And I told my mum that. She was just like, that's where my fucking clothes are missing, you bastard. And so I don't have a segue for this bit, so this is going to be a bit clumpy. Because in my PDF document, it's just called racist nostrils, so you're going to have to bear with me here. So like, you know, like when you're in a workplace and you get a new person who's like coming in and they have to interview, a lot of people are very nosy, like they'll judge people from just looking at them, like they'll just Google them and they'll be that. And like, I was doing a shift like a couple of months ago and just like, let's go see if they're racist, right? And I was just like, I looked at like one guy who's got divorced dad energy, and you can tell he's got divorced dad energy because his profile picture is the super fucking close-up mugshot style thing. And then I was like, yeah, he's definitely racist. He's got the nostrils for it, you know? And like, there we go, see, I tied it all back together. But like, a lot of people hide their darker elements. Like, you know, like Coco Chanel, the perfume brand? Yeah. So Coco Chanel in historical fashion, was a Nazi spy, right? Yeah, thank you. Yeah, you were. We'll talk about Napoleon later. But and like, how fucking different would have that line be if she was really open about that? Because then people will go sample and go, ah, yes, war crimes. And then you go in and people will be like, with the guys with the spray, they'll be like, fascism for men. Coming soon, urban fascism for men and women, but mostly men. We will touch on that. We will 100% touch on that. But your character is assessed when you go to apply for a new job. I applied for a job as a lead marketer for the spa hotel, and I didn't get it because the rejection email that I got read out. You were the perfect candidate, but we went for someone else. Right? How fucking weird is that? That's like getting dumped by someone being like, you are the love of my life, and I'm marrying this fuck clump called Sam. Hello, I'm Sam! And like, thank you. I do change that according to the audience, but I don't know. And also, that could be a shoot, but whatever. So, but like, marketing hospitality is really fucking easy, right? It's really easy planning. You build strategies to bring in new customers, but you also make sure those strategies don't alienate your old ones. You know, cunts. But like, people don't grow up. That's what I've acknowledged as well. Like children, one kid will whine, another kid will whine because they haven't got their way, another kid will whine and because they haven't got their way. Every kid will whine, nothing gets fucking sorted. The adult version of that, Parliament. Hey! And so like, I got that from in the workplace. Like, even with adults in high-ranking positions. Like, I used to work in an IVF clinic, and one of the operations managers was having affairs with receptionists on site, which explained why we were drowning in samples. But, but even with titles like CEO, operations manager, prime minister, the president, they're all abstract constants and they don't really matter, right? Because like we are really animalistic. We're built to pass on our genes and not have we've got a sentimental, superficial attachment to stuff. Like, and we lambast innovation. Think of the first guy who ever milked a cow. That was a bit awkward, wasn't it? Think of, oh, what are you doing, Shagger to Daisy? He was exiled from the fucking village real fucking quick. He was told to get the fuck out of there. So, thank you. Because like innovation is really like lambasted, right? So like the first guy to ever do a prostate exam, a weirdo. The first guy to ever perform an amputation, a butcher. The first guy to invent the penis enlargement. Fucking hero. So, like, somebody had to come up with some of the fucked up shit we all do to each other. Like, is anyone familiar with the interrogation technique waterboarding? More people than I was expecting. Someone had to pitch that to the CIA, right? How do you think that pitch meeting went? Yes, what we do is we get a tarp, we get a hose, and we spray the shit out of this guy until he talks. CIA director must have been like, wow, what a mouth-watering proposition! I love it! The point is, thinking that you're anything above your natural station is opening you up for mockery. Take the workplace, for example. Gossip cesspools. Every place I ever worked, everyone knew each other's private business. Because I told them. So, like, I worked in a cafe as a manager. And I had, like, my boss come up and look at the cane counter and go, have you got any differently shaped cakes? It was a really boring cake. That's mad, right? That's psychotic. I've never gone into a cafe and be like, love me that carrot cake, but can I get it as a hexagon, you know? And, you know, that cafe was run by this other corporation, I won't name them, Foster's. And I was fired by the CEO. And in a heated discussion, he had to reaffirm his dominance by going, I am the CEO of this company, I'm in charge. How small does your cock have to be, right? And like in that moment, in that heated moment, I did the only thing that felt natural in that scenario. I'm the CEO, I'm in charge. And I'll wrap up with this. With the individual experiences I've had with like my parents, my work life, and all those other bollocks, and even now as I'm like struggling to find my foot in Bristol, it's like no one belongs to a collective. You're all individuals, right? Everyone's on their own story. You're going to find frustration in your life. Things are going to go wrong, things are going to go very, very right, but everyone has got their story, and if you work on it, you'll get your happy ending. And even when you get fired by a piece of shit like that CEO, you do get the title of your show. And that's all from me, thank you!